The security lights in front of Nick Tech Tower were still on, even though the sun was already rising over Victoria Island. Nicholas Andrew, billionaire, founder of Nick Tech, the man every news station in Lagos called the future of cybersecurity, was standing outside his own company, holding his laptop with both hands like it was a bomb. His eyes were red, his jaw was tight, he was breathing like somebody who just ran. He was in trouble. Big trouble. He kept looking down at the screen and shaking his head. His voice was low, scared, angry. No, no, this can't be real. For the first time in years, Nicholas Andrew was afraid. Nick Tech was famous for one thing: security. Governments paid them, banks paid them, oil companies paid them. He was the man people called when they didn't want to get hacked. But now someone had hacked him, not just hacked, attacked. The code in his laptop wasn't just ugly, it was a message, it was a threat. His best engineers had tried all night to decode it. Nobody could. If they failed, the attacker would leak secret company files in less than 24 hours. That meant lawsuits. That meant clients gone. That meant press scandal. That meant Nick Tech could fall. It meant everything he built could be destroyed in one day. He could lose everything. And that was why the billionaire CEO of Nick Tech was standing outside his own building at 6:40 a.m., still wearing yesterday's expensive blue caftan with his red cap, with sweat on his forehead, whispering to no one, "What if this is the end?" He did not even notice her at first. Nobody did, because to them she was nothing. She was standing near the company entrance, next to the security post, like someone who did not belong there. Her dress was brown, old, torn at the shoulder. Her hair was rough and falling around her face. Her feet were dusty. Her eyes looked tired, the kind of tired that does not come from staying up late one night, but from suffering for years. Her name was Adana. People had seen her before. Security had tried to chase her away before. Some workers whispered she was that homeless girl that sometimes sat across the road and watched the building. But this morning, something in her face was different. She wasn't just looking, she was listening. And then she heard Nicholas say, "This will destroy everything," and her heart jumped. He kept talking, like he was talking to the air. "They said nobody can translate this code. Nobody. Nobody. We are finished." Adana stepped forward. Her voice was not loud, but it was clear. "I can do it." Nicholas froze. Slowly he turned. For a moment he just stared at her. Who even said that? Her hands were shaking, but her eyes were steady. "I can do it," she said again. "I can help you translate the code." Security moved fast. "Madam," one of the guards said, stepping in front of her, "please leave here." Nicholas lifted his hand. "Stop," he said quietly. The guard froze. Nicholas was still looking at her. His face was hard, suspicious. This was his company gate. This was not a charity center. It was not a school project. It was not a joke. This was war. "Do you even know what you're talking about?" he asked. "Yes," Adana said. "You heard what I said?" His voice got sharper. "Do you understand what this is? My engineers have tried since last night. My chief security officer has tried. I have tried. If we don't translate this code, my company will fall today. Do you understand what fall means?" "I do," she said softly. "How?" he asked. "How do you do?" Adana swallowed. Her lips were dry. Her voice shook a little, but she kept going. "Because that code is not just code," she said. "It's layered encryption written by someone who used to work inside. Someone who knows your system from the backbone. Someone angry. Someone who wants your clients to think you're weak." Nicholas blinked. He did not expect that. He didn't show it on his face, but inside him something moved. He took one slow step closer. "What did you say?" he asked. Adana pointed at the laptop in his hands. "I can do it," she whispered. "Let me try." For 2 full seconds, nobody breathed. The guards stared. 2 workers who were walking past stopped and pretended to type on their phones while watching. Even the receptionist, through the glass door, had her mouth slightly open. Nicholas let out a small, humorless laugh. "You think I'm stupid?" he asked quietly. Adana shook her head fast. "No, sir." "You think this is a movie?" "No, sir." You think I will hand the most sensitive data in my entire company, he said, tapping the laptop, to a stranger I don't know, standing barefoot, in a torn dress, outside my building. Adana held his eyes. Sir, she whispered, you don't have any other choice right now. That hit. That one entered. His face changed. It was true. He hated that it was true, but it was true. He had tried everybody. Everybody failed. He was out of time. And this girl was standing here like she already understood the code. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. If you touch this, he said, don't mess with me. This is not small. This is not a joke. This could destroy lives. Adana nodded. Yes, sir. If you break anything, I won't. If you copy anything, I won't. If you lie to me, I'm not lying. He searched her face. Her eyes were tired, yes. Her dress was torn, yes. But her eyes were not empty. Her eyes were sharp. Her eyes were awake. His heart was beating hard. He could feel it in his throat. He shouldn't do this. He knew he shouldn't do this. But something in her voice, something in the way she said, it's layered encryption. Something in the way she didn't beg. She just told him what she could do. He had seen pride before. He knew pride. That was not what he saw. He saw pain. He saw a person who had lost too much already and had nothing left to fear. 5 minutes, he said. Her lips parted. Yes, sir. He handed her the laptop. The whole compound felt silent. Even the morning traffic from Ozumba Mbadiwe felt far away. Adana sat on the edge of the marble step, holding the billionaire's laptop like it was a baby. Her fingers moved. Fast, very fast. Nicholas watched, and his breathing changed. At first, he folded his arms and tried to act strong. After 1 minute, he leaned in a little. After 2 minutes, he took 1 step closer. After 3 minutes, he was already standing over her shoulder, his mouth slightly open, his eyes jumping across the screen. What are you doing? He whispered. Adana did not look up. They built a false wall, she said softly. It looks like your firewall is still clean. It's not. Someone cloned your defense signature and wrapped the attack inside it so your team wouldn't see it. I'm killing the clone and forcing the real wall to wake up. Nicholas stared at her. He understood some of that. He did not understand all of that. But one thing made his heart slam in his chest. He had suspected an inside job. He had not told anyone that. How did she know? His voice dropped even lower. Who are you? Adana did not answer. Her fingers kept moving. 4 minutes. She hit enter. She closed the laptop halfway. Then she finally looked up at him. Done, sir, she said. For 1 second, Nicholas could not move. What? She stood up and held the laptop back to him with 2 hands, careful, respectful. It won't leak anymore, she said. He tried to schedule a timed release. I broke it. Your system is clean now, but you still have a hole. I marked where it is. You need to close that hole before tonight. Nicholas took the laptop with shaking hands. He opened it fast. He looked. He scrolled. His eyes went wide. No. He breathed. He scrolled again. No. He checked the file path. He checked the system health. He checked the breach timer. The red countdown that had been sitting there for hours like a gun to his head. Gone. He looked up at her like he was seeing a ghost. How did you do it? He asked. Adana didn't smile. She just looked tired, and small, and hungry, and sad. I told you, she said softly. I can do it. Something in him broke, in front of security, in front of his workers, in front of a woman in a torn brown dress. A billionaire's eyes filled with tears. He dropped his pride. He stretched out his hand to her, the same hand he just used to wipe his face, the same hand people in Lagos fight to shake. Thank you, he whispered. Her eyes widened. She slowly put her hand in his. It was the first time in a long time that someone touched her without disgust. Follow me, he said. Her heart jumped. Sir? Follow me to my office. He turned and started walking into the building. Adana followed. Security stared. Staff stared. People stopped talking. Mouths opened. Phones came out. Who is she? What is happening? Is this a joke? They had never seen anything like this. Nick Tech Tower was not a place where people like Adana walked. Marble floors, tall glass walls, smell of money everywhere. Her dirty feet touched that floor for the first time in her life. Her heart was beating so hard she could feel it in her throat. She kept her hands close to her body so she wouldn't touch the clean walls by mistake. She could feel eyes, she could feel judgment, she could feel shame burning on her skin. But she also felt something else. For the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe she was not invisible. They entered the private elevator. Only Nicholas and his direct team were allowed to use that elevator. Today, he stepped in with her. He pressed the top floor. The doors closed. Silence. He was still holding the laptop like it was life. He was still shaking a little. He looked at her again. Up close now, her lip had a small cut. Her left wrist had an old bruise mark. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. "How long have you been outside my building?" he asked quietly. Adana looked down. "A while." "How long is a while?" "Some months." Nicholas stared at her. The elevator doors opened into his floor. The top floor, glass everywhere. View of the water. Victoria Island skyline, long black table, security screens, awards on the wall. Adana stepped out slowly. It felt like walking into a dream and also walking into pain. Because this world, this kind of office, this kind of company, this level, this was supposed to be her life. Until the night everything ended. "Sit," Nicholas said. She did. He closed the glass door behind them. No assistants, no security. Just him and her. He set the laptop on his desk, but he didn't sit yet. He was still staring at her like she was a question he was trying to solve. Finally, he spoke. "Who are you?" he asked, and this time she answered. "My name is Adana," she said softly. "I was the best cybersecurity student in my university." Nicholas raised his eyebrows. "I was supposed to start work after graduation," she said. "I had interviews lined up. I had companies waiting for me. People said I was special." Her eyes began to shine. "But that night, the same night I got my award, the same night my mother cooked jollof rice and laughed and said, 'My daughter is going to change this country.'" Her voice broke. She swallowed. Her hands were shaking now. "They came," she whispered. Nicholas's face went still. "Who came?" he asked. "Armed robbers," she said. "They entered our house. They shot my father. They shot my mother. I was hiding in the kitchen. I heard everything." Her breath started to shake. "I called my uncle," she said. "I thought he would help me. He didn't help me. He took the house. He said since my parents were dead, everything now belonged to him. He told me, 'Go, just go.'" Nicholas felt cold move through his chest. Adana wiped her face with the back of her hand. "After that," she said, "I stopped caring about anything. I stopped caring about life. I slept anywhere. I ate anything. I didn't go to any job interview again. I did not want to think. I did not want to try. I just left myself." Her voice dropped even lower. "But I always pass here," she said. Nicholas frowned. "Here?" She nodded. "Your company," she whispered. "Nick Tech. I stand outside sometimes and just look at the glass and tell myself that is where I am supposed to be." Nicholas could not speak. He sat down slowly across from her. He felt anger, not at her, at the world, at what happened to her, at the fact that someone like her was out there on the road while people who could not even write clean code were in meetings wearing suits. He hated it. He hated it with his whole chest. "Adana," he said quietly. She looked up. "I'm not letting you go back out there." Her eyes opened. "I'm serious," he said. "From this moment, you are not the girl outside the building again. From this moment, you are inside." Adana shook her head fast. "Sir, no sir. I didn't come for—" "I don't care what you came for," he said. "You saved my company. You stopped a breach nobody could stop. You looked at something that was choking us, and you killed it in 4 minutes while sitting on the step." He leaned forward. His voice was low, strong. "I run this company," he said, "and I am telling you now, you are part of it." Adana just stared at him. She could not even blink. She thought she heard him, but her mind could not hold it. "I'm going to call my executive team," Nicholas said. "Right now. They'll meet you. They'll hear what I just said. You're not going back to the street. Do you understand me, Adana?" Her lips parted. Tears filled her eyes, but this time they were not only from pain, they were from something else, something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. "You're shaking," Nicholas said softly. Adana tried to laugh, but it came out like a broken sound. "I haven't eaten today," she whispered. Nicholas's face cracked. He stood up so fast his chair moved back. That was the moment, right there. That moment in that glass office on the top floor of Nick Tech Tower, with the ocean shining behind them and the city moving under them like a map. That was the first moment Nicholas Andrew, billionaire CEO, felt something inside his chest that was not business. It was personal, it was anger, it was loyalty, it was protect. He picked up his phone. "Benjamin," he said. His voice was steady now, powerful again. "Bring the car to the front, now. You're taking someone to the salon and then to the boutique. She'll choose whatever she wants. Put it on my account. Then take her to the doctor. Then bring her back up to me." He listened. Benjamin said something on the other side. Nicholas's eyes did not leave Adana's face. "And Benjamin," he added quietly, "be respectful. That's your new head of cybersecurity." Adana's mouth slowly opened. Her heart stopped. Her hands covered her mouth. She shook her head. "No," she whispered. "No, no way. No." But Nicholas just ended the call, turned back to her and gave her a small, tired smile. "It's not no," he said softly. "It's done." Before Adana could speak, before she could even breathe, the glass door opened. Benjamin stood there in his neat black suit, eyes wide, confused. "Sir," Benjamin said carefully, "you said, head of—" "This is Adana," Nicholas said. "She is now part of us. Treat her like you treat me." Benjamin swallowed and nodded fast. "Yes, sir." Adana tried to stand, but her knees felt weak. Benjamin stepped forward to help her, and that was when it hit her. This was real. This was happening. She was shaking so hard she could barely talk. "Sir," she whispered, turning back to look at Nicholas. "Why are you doing this for me?" Nicholas looked at her for a long time. Then he said something that made her chest break open. "Because you did it for me first." Adana covered her face and began to cry. Not small crying, not quiet crying, but the kind that comes from years of hurt finally breaking. Benjamin waited. Nicholas stood there, watching her, his own eyes full. In that moment, inside that glass office above Victoria Island, everything changed. For him. For her. For the whole company. And outside, down on the ground level, in a dark corner across the street, someone else was watching the building with cold eyes and a hand on a phone. Someone who did not like what just happened. Someone who did not expect Adana to still be alive, let alone inside Nick Tech Tower. The message he sent next would start something that none of them were ready for. Benjamin's car, a black Lexus with tinted glass, rolled smoothly through the streets of Victoria Island. Adana sat quietly in the back seat, staring out the window as the city passed by. She was still shaking, not from fear anymore, but from disbelief. Only an hour ago she had been standing outside the company gate, hungry and tired, clutching her worn shawl around her body. Now she was sitting inside the billionaire CEO's car, on her way to a salon. Everything felt unreal. Benjamin glanced at her through the mirror. "Madam," he said carefully, his tone respectful, "we'll get to the salon soon. Then the boutique. The boss said you should eat something. Too." Adana nodded slowly. "Thank you." She looked down at her hands, thin, calloused, trembling. For years those hands had begged, washed plates in roadside canteens, and written codes in her head that no computer ever saw. Today they had typed on a billionaire's laptop and changed her life. Her throat tightened. She pressed her palm against her chest and whispered to herself, "Thank you, God. Please don't let this be a dream." The car stopped at Majestic Touch Salon, a bright glass building where the city's elite came for grooming. Inside, the scent of coconut oil and luxury shampoo filled the air. Benjamin spoke to the manager in hushed tones, showing a message from Nicholas. The manager's eyes widened, then immediately turned toward Adana with a warm, almost nervous smile. "Welcome, ma'am," she said. "Please, right this way." For the next few hours, Adana sat in silence as women worked around her, washing, trimming, polishing, transforming. Her old hair, tangled and dull, was combed and styled into soft waves. Her nails were cleaned. Her face was gently brushed with powder. Her skin glowed again. When she looked into the mirror after they were done, she gasped. The woman looking back wasn't the one who lived on the street. She was the one she used to dream about becoming, the Adana who had once stood on a graduation stage, smiling as her mother clapped in the crowd. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "Mama, are you seeing me?" Benjamin smiled quietly. The boss said we're heading to the boutique next. Inside Nick Luxe, the company-owned boutique, Adana stood frozen among rows of elegant dresses, shoes, and perfumes. She had never seen so many choices. A sales lady approached. "Good afternoon, ma'am. The CEO said you can choose anything you want." Adana blinked. "Anything?" "Yes, ma'am." Her heart raced. She touched a navy blue gown with gold buttons, then a cream corporate jacket that reminded her of the women she used to admire on her way to interviews. At first, she hesitated. Everything looked too expensive, too far from her world. Then she remembered what Nicholas said. "You're not outside anymore. You're inside." She lifted her head, smiled faintly, and picked the jacket. When she finally stepped out of the boutique, Benjamin almost didn't recognize her. Her hair shone under the sunlight, the elegant suit hugged her body perfectly. The simple heels made her walk taller. The tired girl was gone. A confident woman had taken her place. Benjamin smiled wide. "Madam, the boss will not believe his eyes." Adana laughed softly for the first time in years. The elevator doors opened again to the top floor. The staff turned their heads immediately. Whispers started to fly. "Wait, that's her. She looks different. Who is she really?" Adana's steps echoed softly as she followed Benjamin toward Nicholas's glass office. Her heart thudded faster with every step. When the door opened, Nicholas looked up from his desk. For a second, he just froze. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He just looked. The woman who had sat in front of him a few hours ago, the one with messy hair and trembling voice, was gone. The woman standing now looked powerful, graceful, alive. "Sir," Benjamin said, smiling, "as you requested." Nicholas slowly stood up. "Adana?" he said quietly. She nodded shyly. "Yes, sir." Nicholas let out a small breath of surprise, then smiled, a real deep smile. "You look incredible." Adana's cheeks flushed. "Thank you, sir." He gestured to the chair across his desk. "Sit, please." She sat down carefully, still feeling out of place in this shining world of glass and light. But this time, she didn't feel small. She felt seen. Nicholas leaned forward. "I've been thinking about you all morning." Adana's eyes widened slightly, unsure what to say. He smiled faintly. "Not like that," he added quickly. "I mean, about what you did. What you fixed. My engineers confirmed it. You were right. It was an inside attack." Adana's expression hardened. "Someone from your team?" Nicholas nodded. "Someone close, someone I trusted." Her eyes narrowed. "They'll try again." His brows rose. "You think so?" "I know so," she said. "People who attack from inside don't stop because they failed once. They come back smarter." Nicholas leaned back, studying her face. "Then I guess it's good I hired the right person," he said. Moments later, Nicholas called his senior team into the boardroom. When the executives entered and saw Adana sitting beside him, they exchanged quick, confused glances. "Everyone," Nicholas said, standing tall, "meet Adana, our new head of cybersecurity." There was silence. A few jaws dropped. Someone coughed awkwardly. One of the managers, a tall man in glasses named Kunle, finally spoke. "Sir, with all due respect, we weren't told about any recruitment. Who exactly is she?" Nicholas smiled slightly. "She's the person who just saved your jobs." A murmur went around the table. Kunle frowned. "Sir, I don't understand." "You don't need to," Nicholas said calmly. "All you need to know is this. Last night, a hidden code was planted in our system. None of you could fix it. Adana did, alone, in 4 minutes." The room went quiet again. Adana kept her eyes down, trying not to cry. Nicholas turned to her. "Would you like to tell them what you found?" Adana hesitated, then spoke softly. It was an inside breach. Someone duplicated the company's firewall and planted a false script under it. If it had triggered, all your client data would have been public by now. Gasps filled the room. She continued, her tone steady, confident. I've neutralized the threat, but the person responsible still has access. You need to check staff activity between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. last night. Nicholas nodded approvingly. We'll get on that. He turned back to the team. From today, Adana reports directly to me. Show her full respect. The meeting ended in silence, but as the executives left, Kunle paused by the door, his jaw tightened as he looked back at Adana. His eyes were cold. Too cold. That evening, as the sky darkened over Lagos, Nicholas's car pulled up outside his mansion in Banana Island. Adana sat beside him in quiet awe. She had never seen anything like it. The marble driveway, the glowing pool, the tall palms swaying in the evening wind. It was like a palace. Nicholas smiled at her expression. You'll stay here for now. There's an extra suite downstairs. It's safe, private. Sir, she said softly, you don't have to. I want to, he said. You deserve peace, Adana. For once. Her eyes glistened. She nodded. As Benjamin carried her small plastic bag from the car, the only thing she owned, Adana turned to Nicholas and whispered, I'll pay you back one day. He smiled gently. You already have. But as they walked inside, neither of them noticed the figure standing in the dark across the street. Kunle. His hands were inside his pockets, his face hidden beneath a hood. His phone buzzed once, and he looked down. A message flashed on the screen. She's inside. What do we do now? Kunle typed back. We wait. She has no idea who she's dealing with. He looked up at the mansion lights again, his eyes burning. Then he smiled, a cold, dangerous smile. The sound of rain against the window filled the quiet of Nicholas's study. He sat on the couch, scrolling through his laptop, still wearing his evening robe. Adana's door was closed down the hallway. She had gone to rest after dinner. For the first time in years, he felt peace. But something kept tugging at the back of his mind. Her words. They'll try again. He rubbed his temple, looking at the network monitor on his screen. Everything seemed calm, green lights everywhere. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that she was right. At exactly 11:37 p.m., a faint beep came from his laptop. A single red dot blinked on the system monitor. Nicholas frowned. He zoomed in. The alert lasted less than a second before it disappeared. No trace, no file, no log entry. He exhaled slowly. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe the system was just recalibrating after Adana's fix. But something about that blink felt too perfect. Almost intentional. He reached for his phone and sent a message. Nicholas. Adana, are you awake? Adana, yes, sir. I can't sleep. The storm. Nicholas, meet me in the control room, now. Minutes later, Adana walked in, wearing a simple white nightgown and a thin shawl. Her hair was loose, still smelling of the salon's lavender oil. Nicholas was already by the console, his face lit by the glow of multiple screens. What happened? She asked. He pointed. Something blinked here a few minutes ago. A system ping. It was small, too clean to be random. Adana's expression hardened. You said you changed the security token after my patch. I did. Everything was reset. Then whoever did this, she said slowly, still has an access key. A hidden one. She sat beside him, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Lines of code scrolled fast. Nicholas watched silently, admiration written all over his face. There was something powerful about her, a calm authority that came alive the moment her hands touched a computer. There, she murmured, eyes narrowing. Port 443 opened for 0.4 seconds, then closed. Meaning? Meaning someone's watching us, she said quietly. They wanted to see if I'm still awake. Nicholas's stomach tightened. Inside? Inside, she confirmed. By morning, Nicholas had summoned his most trusted internal investigator, Inspector Felix, a retired cyber forensics expert. He and Adana spent the entire day combing through employee activity logs. Most of it looked normal, except one thing. Someone had logged in to the secure admin panel from inside the company at 2:13 a.m. just hours after Adanna's first fix. The username? Kunle Akintola. Nicholas's face went blank. No, that can't be. Kunle has been with me since day one. Adanna didn't look surprised. That's why he was chosen. Insiders who are trusted always do the most damage. She clicked on the terminal. Look at this. Encrypted traces linked to an offshore server. He's selling company data. Nicholas stood there frozen. Everything inside him boiled. Rage, betrayal, disbelief. How long? He whispered. Months, Adanna said. Maybe longer. He tried to cover it up, but I can see the footprint. He's been draining classified data little by little. Passwords, source code, contracts. Nicholas's voice cracked. My God. By evening, he could no longer sit still. Kunle was in the boardroom, smiling and talking with two foreign clients when Nicholas walked in. Everyone excuse us, he said sharply. The client stood up, confused, and quietly left. Kunle turned, still smiling faintly. Sir, is something wrong? Nicholas slammed a file on the table. You tell me. Kunle blinked. I don't understand. Stop pretending, Nicholas shouted. You've been bleeding this company dry. You think I wouldn't find out? Kunle's expression shifted from confusion to calm, almost too calm. Sir, he said slowly, you're making a mistake. Am I? Nicholas snapped. He opened his laptop and played the recorded trace logs on the screen. Explain this. 2:13 a.m. login. Your account, your credentials, your signature encryption key. For the first time, Kunle's smile faded. He leaned back in his chair. I see, he said quietly. So the street girl finally opened her mouth. Nicholas's eyes darkened. Don't you dare talk about her like that. Kunle chuckled softly. Oh, I'm not surprised. I knew something changed the moment you brought her in here, walking barefoot one day, sitting in the boardroom the next. You're letting emotions blind your judgment, sir. Enough, Nicholas said, voice shaking with anger. You're suspended, effective immediately. Security will… Kunle cut him off. You can suspend me, but you can't stop what's coming. Nicholas frowned. What do you mean? Kunle smiled again, slow, deliberate, dangerous. Let's just say, I didn't come alone. That night the storm came back, harder than before. Thunder rolled across the city. Adana sat by her window, restless. Something didn't feel right. She opened her laptop, checking the firewall again. The system was fine, no new alerts. But her instincts screamed otherwise. She got up, wrapped a shawl around herself, and stepped into the hallway. The lights were dim. The mansion was quiet. Suddenly, a faint beep from the security monitor by the main door. Motion detected. Adana froze, then another sound, soft footsteps outside the gate. She moved closer, peering through the window. Two black SUVs were parked outside the mansion wall, headlights off. Her heart started pounding. She pulled out her phone and dialed Nicholas's number. He answered, half asleep. Adana? Sir, she whispered, you need to come downstairs, now. What's wrong? Someone's here. Nicholas was fully awake now. Stay inside, lock the doors. But before she could respond, the mansion lights flickered once, then went out. Total darkness. Adana gasped. Sir, they've cut the power. The line went dead. Outside, lightning flashed, and in that white flash she saw them, 4 masked men scaling the fence. Her breath caught in her throat. She backed away slowly, her mind racing. There was only one thing she could do now. Reach the server room, trigger the panic signal, and hope Nicholas was safe upstairs. She whispered to herself, trembling but determined, I can do it. And she ran into the darkness. Adana ran barefoot through the dark hallway, lightning flashing across the mansion windows. Every shadow felt alive. Behind her, she could hear them, faint, careful footsteps. The intruders were already inside. She turned a corner and slipped quietly into the study, heart racing. The red backup lights from the server cabinet still glowed faintly in the corner. That meant one thing, she could still trigger the security protocol manually. Her fingers shook as she reached for the laptop. The system's interface flickered. Someone was trying to override it remotely. She muttered to herself, not today. Lines of code streamed across the screen as she fought to block the attack. Whoever was behind it was fast, faster than anyone she'd faced before. Then a voice echoed from the darkness behind her. Well, well. You are good. Adana froze. Slowly she turned. Kunle stepped out of the shadows, holding a pistol. His face was wet from the rain, his smile thin and bitter. I told your boss he couldn't stop what's coming, Kunle said, but he didn't listen. You should have stayed on the street where you belonged. Adana's voice trembled, but her eyes stayed firm. You betrayed him. You sold everything he built. Kunle shrugged. Business, sweetheart. Someone's always buying information. I just sell it. He moved closer. Now you're going to reopen that firewall, quietly, or I'll make sure you don't see another sunrise. Adana's brain raced. She couldn't win with strength, but she could win with logic. She whispered, You should have checked your network before coming here. Kunle frowned. What? She hit enter. The house lights burst back on. Loud alarms blared across the mansion. Kunle's phone beeped. His access route was locked, traced back to his device. His face changed instantly. You, he growled. Before he could finish, the front door slammed open. Nicholas and two armed security officers rushed in. Drop it, Nicholas shouted. Kunle turned toward him, raising his weapon, but Adana moved first, grabbing a metal lamp and swinging it with all her strength. The lamp struck his arm, and the gun clattered to the floor. Nicholas charged forward and tackled Kunle to the ground. Security pinned him as he struggled, shouting, You'll regret this. You have no idea who I work for. Nicholas stood over him, breathing hard. You'll tell me. Every name. Police sirens wailed outside. Adana leaned against the wall, shaking, tears mixing with sweat. Nicholas turned to her, voice soft now. You saved my life. Again. Adana smiled weakly. I told you. I can do it. As the police led Kunle away, Nicholas reached out and took her trembling hand in his. Outside, the storm began to fade, but neither of them knew that the man Kunle worked for was already watching from afar, smiling into a phone. Phase 1 complete, the voice said. Now, let's finish this. The morning after the storm, Lagos woke to headlines. Nick Tech cyber attack, foiled insider arrested. The mansion was quiet again, but inside Nicholas's office, the air still felt heavy. Police had taken Kunle away, but his last words, You have no idea who I work for, kept echoing in Nicholas's mind. Adana stood by the window, staring out at the garden. Her hands were folded in front of her, but her mind was far away, remembering her parents, her uncle, the streets. It felt unreal that she was standing here now, in a billionaire's mansion, wearing an elegant white suit with her ID card hanging proudly. Head of cybersecurity, Nick Tech. Nicholas entered quietly, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. Couldn't sleep either, he asked. Adana turned and smiled faintly. After everything that happened, sleep feels like luxury. He handed her a cup, their fingers brushed for a second. A silence followed, warm, unspoken, heavy with meaning. Nicholas finally broke it. The police traced Kunle's contacts. They were part of a syndicate trying to destroy Nigerian tech firms from within. He was the bridge. And now? Adana asked. Nicholas looked at her. Now we rebuild, together. Weeks passed. Under Adana's leadership, Nick Tech transformed. She designed new security frameworks that even foreign governments admired. Investors returned, impressed by the company's comeback. Nicholas watched her during board meetings, confident, calm, brilliant. Every day she reminded him why second chances mattered. One Friday afternoon, as the sun set over Victoria Island, Nicholas gathered the staff in the company's grand hall. Cameras flashed as he announced, Ladies and gentlemen, meet the reason Nick Tech still stands today, Ms. Adana Obianuju. Applause thundered. Adana stood frozen for a moment, her eyes wet. She took the microphone slowly. Years ago I lost everything. My parents, my home, my hope. But one day I stood outside this very building, and I told myself I could do it. I didn't know how. I just believed. Her voice cracked, and she smiled through tears. And today, I stand here not as a homeless girl, but as proof that faith and kindness can rewrite destinies. Nicholas's eyes glistened as he led the applause. That night, under the soft garden lights, Nicholas took Adanna's hand. "You didn't just save my company," he said. "You saved me." Adanna's heart raced. "Nicholas." He smiled, kneeling slowly on the grass. "Adana Obianuju, will you marry me?" Tears rolled down her cheeks. She nodded, whispering, "Yes, yes, I will." He slipped the ring on her finger as the staff, watching from the balcony, cheered. Months later, at their wedding, Adana looked radiant, the same girl who once stood barefoot at Nick Tech's gate, now walking down the aisle beside the man she saved. And as she glanced up at the sky, she whispered softly, "Mama, I did it." Nicholas squeezed her hand and smiled. "Yes, Adana," he said, "you can do anything." If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.